old boy that was recently hit by a car while waiting for the bus over at the Grosvenor townhouses, not too far from here. So please lift up Mohammed and his family, particularly his family as they mourn the loss of their little boy. There is no other. We'll just bow our heads for a moment. Okay, thank you very much. One person that I am missing is Council Member Hill Zayat. Do you know if she's online?
She's not.
Okay. As far as I know, Bridget had planned to be here, so I have not gotten something otherwise. So, all right, well, we'll continue to move on. Council, you all received copies of the minutes. I didn't see any back and forth that there was a correction. Need a motion to approve the minutes.
So we have Jack and the right committee.
Yeah, I think that was updated.
Yep. Move that we accept the minutes from March 14th, 2022 Town Council meeting.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, please show hands.
Aye.
Okay, good, thank you. Can somebody just text Bridget just to see if she's planning on coming?
Yep.
Thank you. She may have the baby, maybe doing something, who knows? Okay, so we'll go down to from the mayor and town council. We'll start with the announcements. We will be having an election on June 6th. We discussed it it's in the minutes, but we discussed it last month that we will be sending out applications, ballot applications, not ballots, ballot applications to all registered voters. And we will do in-person voting as well as mail-in and the drop box. So once we have the candidates as of May 9th at 4 p.m., the staff will get started on getting the mailings ready for the election. Any questions on that? We'll be scheduled a Zoom and in-person meeting, or excuse me, candidates forum on May 23rd. That's a Monday. Okay, number 2, the Warner Street variance hearing. Matt, do you want to take that?
Sure. Council, this evening, we have a.
Hey, Tracy and Matt, I see Joe Campbell has a hand up.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Mayor Furman. I'm glad to hear that there's going to be an election. Could you just briefly fill us in as of this evening what that election is going to look like? Do you know the candidates for the respective
Well, we currently
offices?
have 3 candidates for the 2 council seats. Nate has filed for re-election. John Gerson has filed, as well as Paul Sexton. I am currently the only one who has filed for the mayor.
Thanks for the update.
You're welcome. Any other hands?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So if you go ahead.
Sure. This evening, we have a variance before the council for 3910 Warner Street. Ms. Hoffman is available here on Zoom to answer any questions. Specifically, the variance is for a retroactive fence permit, and specifically in the southwest corner of the property, where Ms. Hoffman is proposing to install a 6-foot fence as opposed to a 4-foot fence, which is required within the code for the front corner of the property. We received a letter of support from the adjacent neighbor, Ms. Barbara O'Donnell, in support of the proposal. And Ms. Hoffman, if you'd like to make any comments.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. Yeah, so the southwest corner fence, it actually extends into my backyard. So the privacy fence is allowed in the 6-foot in the backyard. And it was mostly also just to be sensitive. I have 3 big dogs, and the driveway, Barbara's driveway, actually runs along that where I now have the 6-foot fence. And so my dogs would actually, with the 4-foot fence, they would come out and bark at her as they went in and out of their, her car and her driveway, and her garbage cans and everything there. So this was a solution to try to ameliorate that, and just work with her and work with my dogs, so that wouldn't happen. So we just felt that it was a best solution, and it's worked out really well. They haven't barked since there. So yeah, and I think aesthetically it looks better, but yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Living on Diedrich, I've seen it. It looks fine. It's actually a beautiful fence. It really
I know.
is very nice. And I saw them out painting it today. And if I were living in the O'Donnell's house, I would agree. I think having the taller fences is good.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it looks good. They've done an amazing job on it.
Yeah. Council, any questions regarding the variance request?
Not
no,
for,
so
not for
it's-
me.
Okay, thanks, Nate.
Yeah, staff provided 2 photos that help to bring the focus. My question was the northeast corner, but that is a 4-foot fence, as I understand, going back to the property line or to the front of the house. Correct. And then 6 foot to the rear from there, correct, which meets our code. So really the only thing needing the variance is at the rear of the property. She has 2 front planes, right, because it's corner property, but it's just that section of 6 foot that is at the rear southwest corner.
Correct. Yeah, I was also there was an existing 6-foot fence that was between Ada's place and my place that went all the way along. And so we didn't do that. We put the 4-foot picket fence along there. So it's literally just the one small southwest corner.
Aaron, any questions?
Ultimately, I support the variance, but not for the reasons stated. We as a council made the decision that we want this fences to drop to 4 feet in the front plane. And so I don't want to approve this based on the appearance of the fence not dropping. Because that sort of forms the basis for variances that ignore our variance requests. And I also don't want to base it on the dogs, just because when I look at the 3 conditions for a variance, I don't think that is an appropriate basis for the variance. I did drive by there though, and I felt like there was enough of a topography drop between this Hoffman's property and Miss O'Donnell's. And so on the basis of that, I would approve the variance. But I would just like the resolution to not reference either of the other 2 reasons, because I don't think they're legitimate reasons for a variance.
Okay, good points.
So I'm supportive too, so are you prepared to make a motion on a resolution with an amendment then?
I think you just asked the staff to prepare a resolution for next month.
Okay.
So we'll draft the resolution
Okay, well,
approval based on.
Let me see if anyone in the audience has any questions. I'm not seeing any hands. Okay, so I think if the council wants to make a motion,
You want to make a motion to have town staff direct the resident to develop a resolution for the next month's meeting?
yes,
That would
please.
approve the variance,
Mhm.
based primarily on the topography change between the applicant and the next door lot.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Ruth. All right, so let's move on to number 3, the Development Review Board. Connor has a few updates on the 10619 Connecticut Avenue and some other potential projects here in the town. Connor?
So 3 updates on 3 different properties. The first, as the mayor alluded to, is 10619 Connecticut Avenue. It's at the corner of Pliers Mill in Connecticut. It's what's known as the Huggins property in the sector plan. It's where Hawkins is right now. That property was originally scheduled to be on the park and planning agenda for this month for their public hearing, but has now since been pulled off. They're going to be moved to a subsequent month. They're still working through stormwater management. They're working through what was originally their concept plan. They're working through with park and planning in the town, just making sure that they have accounted for all of the stormwater and how it needs to be managed on the site and as it leaves the site. So they needed more time to work through that. Don't yet have a new date of which agenda they will be on, but as we know, we will get that information out. The second update is on the Bakers Union. I didn't bring the address, but it's right here in front, right at Connecticut and Knowles, right next to Safeway. Just as an update that property went up for sale, and the offers, as we understood it, were due at the end of March on the 31st. We have not received an update as of yet as to any transaction that has occurred on the property, but there was at least an expectation that likely it would go to redevelopment, and so it'll come before the Development Review Board and the Town Council at that time. But just there's pending possibly redevelopment of the Bakers Union. And then third is Warner Mansion. Warner Mansion has been a labor of love for the town. And the most recent update is that the mayor helped work with parking planning and the county executive's office to figure out who could legally dispose of the property, to make a transaction to Carl Vogelmeyer and his group to come in and redevelop it by keeping the current building construct, adding back the original wing that was off to the rear, and then redeveloping the carriage house. The plan is for 12, I believe it's 12 condos, with the idea being that more or less the drip line of the property and the buildings themselves would be transferred per this agreement to the redevelopment by Carl Vogelmeyer's group. The rest of the land around it that is known as Warner Circle Special Park would be maintained as a park. And that is part of the agreement with access, the walking paths, even for continuing to activate the space for public engagement. So that's all part of that agreement. So we are meeting just to walk through it next week, just to get a sense of what the next several steps will be in meeting with Carl and his team, and then we will report back through the council as we have more updates.
And they're still working through some of the details. I'm not sure when we'll see actual like fencing going up around the buildings, and it's got to work its way through HPC as well. So it's got a long way to go. But we're glad to see that it's gotten this far. And just to be clear, the property, all the property will still belong to the county. The buildings are what are being sold, not the property underneath, although they'll have access to, as Connor said, this drip line around the buildings to provide some privacy. So that is why they're able to rezone it from to multi-family use. So anyway, we're very excited to see the building be rehabbed. It's just been neglected for so long. So we're also working with Friends of Warner Circle as well. So they'll be joining us in the walkthrough. So very excited about it. Any questions about any of the projects that Connor brought up, or the buildings, possible development?
Joe Campbell.
Joe?
Tracy, I have,
Oh, sorry, Nate, go ahead. Sorry, Joe, let Councilmember Engel go first.
no, it's a little bit of an awkward question because I feel like I should know this, but I have had a few people ask recently within the last couple of weeks about whether the steps and the driveway area will be also public space. And I didn't know how to answer it. I knew the grass was. I know there are a lot of people who do exercise around there, and they were curious if they would still be able to do that. Do you know?
Well, the steps being the steps off Kent, or the steps actually on the building itself?
The steps that connect to the building, I believe, is what they were asking about.
Well, I know a lot of people have set up exercise groups on the outdoor patio.
That's what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would not be available. That would be that is what's being sold. So they'll have to relocate, or possibly get the residents involved, and then they can continue having their exercise there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Joe?
Thanks, Mayor Furman. For Councilmember Crimmins, just a couple questions on the Warner Circle project. Where will these 12 condos that are envisioned, where will they be? Will they be in the main building exclusively?
No, good question, Joe. So the carriage house that is off to the rear at the south of the property will contain 2 condo units. The other 10 will be contained within the main house structure, but there is the part of the plan is to allow it to add back part of that structure that which was demolished some time ago. So that south wing will be rebuilt. So Mayor Tracy brings up a good point. Underneath the town website, under redevelopment, there is a PowerPoint schematic from Carl Vogelmeier's group that gives a very conceptual layout of where and how these 12 units will be built across the first floor, second floor, third floor of the main house, and then the 2 that are in the carriage house.
Okay.
And that expansion was approved by the Historic Preservation Commission probably 10 years ago, when they had expectations of moving into that building that never materialized.
And Councilmember, do you have any idea, or perhaps the schematics will answer this as well, but what sort of square footage per condo unit are we looking at here? I know there's probably a range, but what is, if you know that range,
Yeah,
that would be good to know.
It didn't, I'm pulling it up now, but I don't recall it having that great of detail. So here are here's May. It's a big file, Joe. Just gotta wait a second.
Are you able to share the screen?
I can send this as a link. So here is the specific link to it for everybody at home. And then I'm not even gonna estimate it. Just another second, here it comes. All right, so
Recall square footage.
no, there's no square footage. I don't want to even estimate, Joe, just because there's not enough detail in here, but it does show a color-based schematic that shows numbered the different residential units, and then those areas that will be common space. There's quite a bit of like the main foyer with a fireplace and the staircase. That's all common area. There'll be some common area toward the rear. And then as you move up each of the floors, it depicts the common area from each of the units. So it shows here 4 units on the first floor, another 4 units on the second floor, 3 units on the third floor, and then 2 units off in the carriage house.
That plan is also about 4 years old.
At least, I mean, this is also using the approved concept design from 2009. So that's part of what, we'll learn over the course of the next several months as we engage with the developer are these still, well, he has to do it within the envelope that's already approved by HPC. It may be that he could go for fewer units. He could, so we just don't know. That's part of what we're figuring out.
Okay, it sounded like 13 units as you enumerated them there, but and any idea when this, ideally, the completion date for all this might be? Any idea?
No.
No, we are at the very front end, and the reality of that is Historic Preservation Commission, the HPC, will very much take a very, very good hard look at anything proposed for this, since they have been heavily involved. And
It's also under the Maryland Historic Trust as well. So there'll be lots of people watching this project. So the good news is that Mr. Vogelmeier has a tremendous amount of experience in rehabbing historic buildings successfully. So we're very excited about that. Any other questions?
Great, thank you. I think on one of the slides, I just scrolled through them real quickly. It looked like a second quarter 2022 completion date. I guess that's not going to be met.
That's how slow things move. Okay, any other questions? I'm not seeing any other hands. Okay, so thank you, Connor.
Yep.
All right, so we'll move on down to the town manager and staff.
Sure. Mayor and Council, we spoke with Pepco, and the permitting for the electric vehicle charging stations is with County DPS right now. They'll update us once it's approved. And then the installation at Town Hall, the Kensington Mark train station will proceed after that. Staff has started filing the permits for the 55th annual Labor Day Parade and Festival to be held in September. We just want to make a public acknowledgement that the Montgomery County Department of Transportation has reevaluated the intersection of Fires Mill Road and Summit Avenue and is no longer requesting the town remove the westbound stop sign at the intersection. They put in the sidewalk. The crosswalks are not there yet, but they are no longer requiring us to remove the stop sign, so we're gonna keep it in place.
Didn't they ask for like an island or something to be put around it?
Yeah, they're asking us to put a small little island around it to protect the stop sign and clean up the existing one.
Okay.
Is there a timeline? I know it's all weather based. Now all of a sudden it's 70 degrees, but when you met with them the other day, any idea of when the striping will?
My hope is by the end of the month. But
Okay.
as soon as they get a contractor in here, so
Are they doing this section?
they're gonna do those as well.
Okay.
So
So I had pointed to Summit at West Knowles, that was also to be.
Is the neighborhood satisfied with the location of the Ken Gar sign? Everything's good there?
Everything I've heard of.
yeah, I haven't heard any feedback, and Mr. Shorten didn't say anything when we had a conversation 2 weeks ago. So
Okay, good,
it was up when we spoke. So
Yep.
okay.
I do want to give a shout out to the town crew, not only when the sign went up, it just rained quite a bit. The sign, took on some mud and rain and just based on where it was located, and that they went out and cleaned it up in short order and just made it look really nice. So and that was great. So thanks to the crew.
Sure. And then one final update, we are meeting with WRA, the engineer that we're hoping to have a consultant agreement with for the bridge repair project on Wednesday. They are finalizing the contract with our town attorney, and we should have that before the council at the May 9th meeting.
Okay,
So then they will rebid the project and act as a project manager.
great. Council, any other questions for Matt on his reports? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Does the audience have any questions for Town Manager Hoffman? I'm not seeing any hands. Okay, so we'll move on to public appearances. This is, I'm sorry. I want to give the council an opportunity. We need to put that in the minutes so we actually get it. Nate, did you have anything you wanted to bring up to the audience before we move on? And
I
reminders?
guess thanks. The reminder of the public workshop that we have coming up on April 21st. It will be a hybrid workshop from 7 to 9 p.m. in Town Hall, and then also on Zoom. The information for Zoom will be sent around, and this is related to the pedestrian bicycling improvement study for the Connecticut Avenue corridor and some of the connecting major roads. So we've actually done a lot. Kudos to Melissa Joy from the Pedestrian Bicycling Access and Safety Working Group, and also Ann Lichter, Racial Justice Committee, for getting, organizing our two respective working groups and committees to get the word out and get people to fill out the survey, which will be, you probably have seen it. It was in the town journal. It was emailed around. It was also on the town website, and people have been flyering all around town to get feedback on some of the recommendations that will be showcased during that event to improve walking and biking in and around town. So as of 5 minutes ago, I just checked, we have 322 survey responses, which I think is pretty significant. Yeah, and at least 150 comments. And hopefully we'll get another 100 or 200 more before the event. So please do come and participate. And if you can't be there in person, great to have you online. We'll definitely have an option to participate like I am tonight.
Great, thank you. Erin, did you have anything you wanted to update?
No, just a reminder that we do continue to sort of press through with various code revisions, and hopefully we'll have one that addresses side yard setbacks in the next month or so.
Okay. Connor?
Mine is just an acknowledgement, the grand opening of Silver Creek Senior Living, which is the apartment complex, the senior apartment complex right on Knowles between Connecticut and Summit. That was held Friday. It was a wonderful event. It was attended also by, our District 1 County Council member Andrew Friedson and the county executive. Both just had wonderful things to say, not only about the town and, what an amazing, addition this would be right into the heart of our kind of business district, but also for acknowledging the town's reception to getting more affordable housing into Montgomery County. That this building is 100% affordable. It's stratified, which is really neat, that there's a section that's at about 80% of AMI, a larger band in the middle at around 60%, and then a number of units that are in the 30% of AMI, which are just desperately needed throughout the entire county. And here we had a project entirely devoted to that within the town. And so I just want to acknowledge it was a wonderful event. It's a great, an amazing, beautiful building. There's already residents in it and more coming. There's still yet to be a public art installation on the front of the building. There will be a mural along where their green screen is. So that's still in the works. I think it's tentatively for the next couple of weeks for it to go up. So it will add to our public art. But we had a chance to talk with some of the residents that are there now. And they're just elated to be here. And you could see the excitement that they had about where, our farmers market and shops and restaurants. So that was very exciting. Joe Campbell, you had a question. This is the building, Joe, on across from Stroh-Snyder's that is in between Connecticut Avenue. Yeah, Connecticut Avenue and Summit Avenue right on Knowles that has been under construction for the last about 2 years.
Yeah, I don't actually think the mural will probably start until May, sometime in late May. So.
That's it for me.
All right, great, thank you. The only thing I'd like to add is we do have a couple of events coming up. We have the ladies, Kensington Ladies is doing the Trash for Treasures, which is April 30th. They're looking for more people to sign up. So be sure to reach out to Kyle Richards. There's a flyer in the journal. And this is a great opportunity. You got stuff you just want to give away to do curb alerts that will get a lot of press. So please sign up for those. And then the Racial Justice Committee is organizing a Juneteenth event at St. Paul Park, and that will actually be on Saturday, June 18th. So, and of course, it's not too early to talk about the 4th of July bike parade. So be sure to make sure you got that on your calendar as well. Okay, so now we'll move on to public appearances. This is your opportunity to bring up anything that is not on the agenda. Jack. Okay. Go ahead, Jack.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. First, I have a question regarding the Silver Creek thing. Has the council ever decided what they were going to do with that $100,000?
No, we have not decided yet.
They'll get the building done before you decide.
Well, the building's already done.
Well,
We've made proposals to the group of plaintiffs, and those proposals were turned down. So, and we just, we have 5 years to do something, and if we don't do anything with it in 5 years, I guess the money goes to the county to be put, if they accept it, to be put towards a community center.
if the community center ever happens.
I think MCPS has made it pretty clear that they plan on using the HOC building for pre-K, but more than likely they may have some community center type activities there. So I think having it go back into that building is not a bad use of the funds.
We're gonna find how little help.
Well, 100,000, believe it or not,
Doesn't
doesn't go very far. I don't even think you can get a consultant for $100,000, unfortunately, anymore. But
I also have 3 astronomical announcements.
Okay, go ahead.
On Saturday, the 16th, at 2:57 a.m. will be the full moon. Next, on April 22 and 23, which is Friday and Saturday, will be the peak of the Lyriad meteor showers, which produces about 20 meteors per hour. Unfortunately, the waning gibbous moon will interfere with seeing some of the fainter meteors. And lastly, May 6 and 7 will be the peak of the Eta Aquarius meteor shower, which produces about 30 meteors per hour. And with the waxing crescent moon setting early in the evening, viewing conditions should be ideal almost all night.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Jack. Is there any other hands? Joe?
Thanks, Mayor Furman. By the way, you all look pretty good on Zoom, you know, it's
So
not
why
bad,
handle
not
things,
bad.
Careful.
Mr. Gaffey's question a moment ago, the non-astronomical question piqued my interest. How long are we into that 5-year period? Are we 2 years into it now? Is that roughly the case?
2 sounds about right, doesn't it?
I think we're about 2 years in.
Okay, and some of the proposals that were alluded to vaguely, could you elaborate on those since they were turned down? There's no negotiation underway, so I don't think there's any privilege here. Could you elaborate on some of those offers or discussions that took place?
Yeah, it's been a while. The proposal indicates that we are required to use the money towards parking and traffic enforcement. Although the original settlement agreement was targeted towards, enforcing traffic and parking in that area. Ultimately, the agreement was broader than that. So it could be used for parking and traffic enforcement anywhere throughout town. A proposal that I put together would have allowed, rather than just parking enforcement, to put the funds towards providing parking. The basis for that thought is that the criticism of the building was that it only provided 47 spots, which some people felt was inadequate. And so that if we could secure additional parking in the vicinity with that money, instead of ticketing people who parked in our neighborhoods, that would be a better use of the money to actually solve a problem that was felt by the plaintiffs to exist. That's the primary one that was unsuccessful.
I think you referred to others, though. Could you just briefly mention them? This is interesting.
That's basically the idea was, it wasn't site specific. It was using the money to secure additional parking as opposed to parking enforcement. And we felt like we had to get the agreement of the plaintiffs in order to put the money towards that.
Any idea why they turned that down?
I don't know why I was not part
They
of
didn't give
this.
you an explanation or offer
There was no
collaboration.
counter offer. There's no, I wasn't part of the discussion. I remain adamantly opposed to accepting the money on the conditions that set out in the agreement.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, because I think you're right on that point. And but with the passage of time, memories begin to fade and perhaps soften. So anyway, I think it's good to be vigilant on that regard. Thanks a lot.
And for the record, it was January 2020 when this first came to the council.
Great. So yeah, more than 2 years now.
Mhm.
And the window is 5 years, is that right? So we're almost like 2.5 years into this 5-year period.
I believe that's right.
Yeah.
5 years.
Thanks, Mayor Furman.
Right. Is there any other comments from the public? Anybody here? Public comment?
We want to go back and at least talk about the area and announce, since the legislative session ends in 4 hours, that it appears that we've expanded the number.
Sure.
Right.
Sure. We can go back and let me close out public
Oh, sure.
appearances then. All right, I'm not seeing any hands, so we're gonna close out public appearances. And we'll go back to, we're gonna go back to town council updates. Darren?
Just a real quick update, because I think not all of us appreciate how beer and wine and liquor licenses have sort of expanded in their application lately, that sometimes hair salons get wine licenses to serve with your haircut. Solera, Medina obtained a beer and wine license for their facility. And so it's not just the restaurants that get these, and we were advised several months ago that we were out of licenses for the town. So I think what is it, the Gelateria place was thinking about applying for a beer and wine license, and our 8 had been claimed by previous applicants. So we went to our state delegation and asked them to expand temporarily, in the interim, to 20 licenses. And at some point, I would intend to take up with the council that maybe we just lift that limit. We've gone from a dry town in the past, incrementally expanding it, and but anyway, for the interim, that number 8 licenses has been expanded to 20, so that should hold us firm with the.
Yeah, I think when Kathy Durbin came to speak to us 2 months ago, I believe it was, back at the February meeting, that they actually have 32 different licenses, and I believe we only have about 7 or 8 maybe.
Yeah, they're changing their licenses.
Yeah, there's a constant of people are coming up with, entrepreneurs are coming up with new ways of doing alcohol, and so they're having to create new licenses on almost a regular basis. So she's promised to come back to us so that if we're going to make any changes to whether we're regulating our alcohol or, and just turning it over to the county, or we're going to do more licenses and more the different licenses, then we'll be again more educated. So I know the state gets frustrated with us sometimes, but I want to thank our District 18 delegation who managed to get this through, because it was a late bill and they did get it done. So kudos to District 18 for that.
And just in case you want more flavor on it, it's an absolutely Byzantine method of regulating alcohol in this state. We as a town have to get state laws that will then be administered by the county. So if you're looking for a more efficient way to do it, I don't know if we can
With
find
a
it.
legislative session that is 90 days and occurs once per year.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Great.
perfect storm.
Yeah, very true. Okay,
That's all. Thank you.
and I'll go ahead and update, Connor has all sorts of cool things on his computer that he can look up. I didn't bring mine down. We're actually 6 years, not 5, on the decision making. So the agreement was 6 years
That's the settlement agreement on the,
on the 100,000.
Yep.
Memories are failing.
I know, Joe's right on that. Okay, all right. Did you want to mention the noise library funds that were received at District 18?
well, I'll tell you what.
Oh, well, I don't need to be the one who always to give good news. Our District 18 also secured $525,000 for the Noise Library Foundation. So that's indeed very good news. So, all right, so let's go into ordinance resolutions and regulations. Matt?
Mayor and council, this evening, we have a public hearing for ordinance number A-02-2022. An ordinance of the mayor and town council of Kensington to appropriate and adopt the fiscal year 2022-2023 FY23 budget to levy a tax on certain real and personal property under the provisions of subsection 6-2 of 3 of the tax property article of the annotated code of Maryland as amended. I'd like to make 2 quick notes on the the operating and capital budget that was sent out in the public documents on page 6. I did oversight on 2 locations. In the first bullet point, it should be our current projections for June 30th, 2022. Suggested income tax revenue will be $86,816 more than budgeted for FY22. We had an extra 9 in there that we're dreaming of, so I guess. And then in the under revenue and intergovernmental, the first bullet point, the second FY, the FY23 should read 289,858. The original document stated 389,000. The correct number is 289,858 FY23 from Montgomery County.
Okay, thank you.
Just a quick overview. Compared to last year's budget, we are anticipating 6.1% greater in revenues. We are also proposing expenditures to be 7.5% more. We did receive our first ARPA payment this year. You'll notice that it's in the budget, which is also noted in the CIP. We are allocating at this time all of the funds to storm drain, which can be moved at a later date, but that's we're replacing the funds at this time. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Council, do you have any questions for Town Manager Hoffman?
I have one, Matt, if it's okay to come in.
Yeah.
No, I was just curious. I know that when I was reviewing all the documents, the budget for the ARPA funds and the stormwater management. I mean, sorry, Crow, I'm outside. That was loud. I know that this is going to be rightfully put towards stormwater analysis. I was just curious how much you expect that actual capital. I know it's hard to know right now, but without the analysis, but do we have a sense of how much it's going to cost to improve the stormwater management in the town?
So as of right now, I'm just anticipating all the funds. Again, that conversation needs to come back to the council. But we're anticipating some large scale infrastructure programs with regards to stormwater management. We have issues in multiple areas of the town and a very large storm drain network that is shared with the county and the state. So, you know, the RFP that will go out later this year will do a storm drain analysis. It will establish recommendations on how we should proceed to address some of our concerns, and then we'll have a better idea of how much we need to allocate towards the recommendations. So
Okay.
maybe in the fall or early next spring, we'll know.
We'll have a better idea of the financing needed. Okay. Thank you.
Sharon or Connor, any other questions before we open up to the audience?
I don't have other than to say again, the appreciation for this document that helps break it down. I think it helps to demystify and overuse that term. What just a straight spreadsheet is telling people. So I know this takes a lot of time and effort to put together. So thanks.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I don't have any questions.
Okay, I do want to thank Councilmember Crimmins and Hill Zayat, who are on the budget committee, who sat down with staff to go over the initial budget. So thank you for doing that.
Nothing more exciting than talking about stormwater management.
I know, right? I get to talk about parks, that's not fun. Okay, so we'll open it up to the audience. If anyone has any questions, please raise your hand. Anyone in the audience have a question here in person? Okay. All right.
We're requesting a motion to keep the public record open.
Okay.
Through
14 Friday.
Friday, yep.
Okay.
Friday, May 6th, 2022 at 4 p.m.
Okay. We'll need a motion.
I move that we keep the public record open until 4 p.m. Friday, May 6th, 2022 on ordinance number O-02-2022, the FY23 budget.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Council.
All right, do you want to go down to number 2?
Council, before you this evening is resolution number R-09-2022. A resolution of the Kensington Town Council confirming an appointment made by the mayor to the Board of Supervisors of Elections. We were notified by Jenny Smith that she is not available to serve as a judge for the election. And Mayor Furman is requesting the council confirm Tina Sherman. Tina Sherman also serves on our Ethics Commission and on the Mobility and Traffic.
Okay, any questions?
None for me. I think Tina would be great.
Okay, any questions from the audience about the appointment? Not seeing any hands? Okay, if we have a motion,
I move that we adopt resolution R-09-2022, a appointment to the Board of Supervisors of Elections of Tina Sherman for the period expiring March 31st, 2023.
okay, is there a second?
I can second again.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, next one.
Mayor, Council, before you is resolution number R-10-2022, a resolution of the Kensington Town Council to confirm the mayor's appointments to the Development Review Board. The Development Review Board is recommending that Mike Hennigan be reappointed, that Andrew Brown take the position of a professional, and we'd like to thank TJ Monahan for serving the board almost from the start.
He was a chair
He was
too.
the chair. He was very helpful to the town and the DRB, so we'd like to publicly thank him. And Michael Gordon to serve as a resident who would replace Martha Deal, who has also been with the DRB for a number of years.
Okay. Did you mention Andrew?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, okay. Multitasking here. Okay, council, any questions about the appointments?
Not questions, but I want to echo what Matt said. A huge amount of thank you to TJ Monahan and to Martha Deal. DRB is a on again, off again. You know, we meet when there are projects, but during that time span, I was looking back that TJ and Martha were both there in early 2018 at the inception of the DRB. And at times we would meet multiple times a week when we had multiple projects up for consideration, and they were amazing and generous with their time, with their input, with their dedicated review of the projects. And so to serve for 4.5 years in that capacity, I'm deeply indebted to them, as having been chair of DRB for a while. And they are wonderful. With that, I also look forward to the addition of Andrew Rowd and Mike Gordon to serve on the DRB.
Yeah, and we're very fortunate to have people that want to serve. That's not always an easy thing, so. Is there any questions from the audience regarding the appointments? Not seeing any hands. Okay, can we get a motion?
I would like to move that we adopt resolution R-10-2022, appointments made by the mayor to the Development Review Board, a reappointment of Mike Hennigan with a term expiring April 30th, 2024, an appointment of Andrew Rowd and Michael Gordon with terms expiring on April 30th, 2024.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. And I will send a note to both Martha and TJ for their service to the town and thank them because it is important. If you have the time and you have the ability to be part of the conversation and joining committees, it's really, really great. So appreciate that. Okay, thank you. Are we done?
Get back on
Are we done at 8 o'clock?
on home turf.
Oh my gosh, I'm like, I did want to remind everyone that we will be meeting, May 9th is our next meeting. For those who wish to still file for either mayor or for council, they have till 4 p.m. on the 9th to file. And then our meeting in June, has been moved to June 7th. The Maryland Municipal League Summer Conference is on the 13th. So we will have our June meeting the Tuesday after the election on the 6th. So please make a note of that. I believe it has all been updated on our town calendar. Okay, wow. Anything else, council? We're happy to stay here for a couple more hours. That's
Make a motion to adjourn.
okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, and thank you MMC and Alex and Albert, wherever he went, for doing this hybrid. I think for the most part, it went really well. So thank you and
Yeah.
good
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
night.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
You want me to shut down that?
So.
You want me to edit that?
Yeah.